What's up, everybody? I thought I would do a bit of a video, a bit of a, I suppose, guesswork as to who we may look at as a replacement for Sadio Mane. Now, I know the news that Sadio Mane looks like he's going to move on to pastures new, and by pastures new, I mean Bayern Munich. I know that's not the news any of us wanted to hear, myself absolutely included in that. But we do have to start facing up to the possibility or the likelihood that Sadio was going to move on. And the questions that remain are: one, what fee will Liverpool be able to command for a player who, whilst nobody will argue about how good he is, he does only have 1 year left on his Liverpool contract? It seems that in Germany there is confidence that they could perhaps get Sadio Mane for around 30 million. From our side, from the Liverpool side, it looks like the club have aspirations of hoping to get maybe close to 50 million for Sadio Mane. And on top of that, from what I've been told and what I've certainly read today across media, is that Liverpool have no intention of selling Sadio Mane until we have a replacement lined up. So with that in mind, I thought I'd have a little look through a couple of potential replacements and weigh up the options. Now, as always, my friends, couple of things. Firstly, do drop a like on the video for me. Secondly, hit that subscribe button if you're new to the channel and you haven't yet subscribed. But also, most importantly, I'd love to know your comments and your thoughts on who you would like as a realistic alternative to Sadio Mane. So look, with that in mind, let's start going through the list and have a little look and see what we think and see if there's any chance of it happening or if it's a bit pie in the sky stuff. But bear with me as we go through them. So first on the list, a name that had been reported recently from somebody very close to the Spurs side, an excellent journalist on all things Spurs, came out and said that he believed Liverpool were prized to put in an offer for Son from Spurs if, and it's a big if, Spurs did not qualify for the Champions League. We know that Arsenal threw away a commanding lead in that race and that Spurs have, of course, qualified now for the Champions League. Son's had a tremendous season, as you can see, 24 goals, 10 assists, joint Golden Boot winner with Mohamed Salah this season. And I know that myself and many, many other Liverpool fans would have had absolutely no issues with Liverpool going out there and trying to bring in Son. Yes, maybe you could point to his age, I think, and again, I'm working off memory here. I think Son's about 29 years of age, so it would have been almost a very similar trade with regards to age-wise from Sadio Mane. If we lost Mane, brought in Son, it would have been... I don't think we would have had many complaints, to be quite honest with you, because Son is a tremendous footballer, but I firmly believe that the fact that now Spurs have qualified for the Champions League, the fact that Antonio Conte looks like he's going to stay there, and the fact that it looks like he's going to be given substantial funds to strengthen Spurs' squad ahead of next season, I don't think there's any chance in hell that Spurs lose Son this summer. And I certainly would imagine it would be a rather hefty fee, because if my memory's right, I believe he signed a contract with Spurs, a 5 or 6 year contract, I think, a while back. So I would say this is a no chance, not happening. But it was interesting to see that it was reported that if Spurs had made it, we were going to go in for him, because in all honesty, he's a quality footballer. I think he's actually underappreciated even now for how good he quite frankly is. But I would put himself and Harry Kane into the not going to happen category for whatever reasons you like. For the fact Spurs qualified for the Champions League, for the fact that they were costing an awful lot of money. I would put Son in the no pile, but only because I don't think it's realistic, not because I don't think he's good enough. He absolutely is good enough. So that means we move on to target number 2, and these are targets, by the way, that I've thrown together. If there are players who have missed here, and I'm sure there are players who I'm not aware of. Again, that's what I love the comment section for. Let me know your thoughts. We'll move on to the next one. Pedro Neto. This might be a bit of a surprise to some people, but if you watch back through Anfield Agenda videos previously, before he picked up his injury, which kept him out for a while, Pedro Neto, I've always said there's something about Neto that just makes me think he would fit in a Liverpool system. He has that tenacity, he has that fight, he has that work rate. And of course, the fact that he's Portuguese with Pep Linders and his contacts in Portugal, it's no surprise that Pedro Neto's name has probably joined this list. We've been looking at him for quite a while, as we would have with hundreds of players throughout Europe, but he would be a little bit further down on my list, if I'm being entirely honest. Pedro Neto, only 1 goal and 1 assist this season, but only in 13 games. As I said, he was working back from an injury, but there's something about this kid that I like. He's got a fight in him, he's got heart in him, he's got desire in him, and that's an attribute, or those are attributes, I should say, that are very much required in a Jurgen Klopp system. Now, that being said, I don't know if that injury will have curtailed maybe Liverpool considering him as a potential replacement for Sadio Mane, or if when we brought Jota in, maybe the interest will have waned off from then. But I certainly know at one point Pedro Neto has been looked at, and I don't think he'd be the worst solution, but I don't think he'd be the top of many of our lists. But I do like him. I do like Pedro Neto, I have to be honest. Price point, I haven't got a clue what Spurs, or excuse me, not Spurs, what Wolves would look for Pedro Neto. So, yeah, I mean, put him in the maybe pile, but what would you say? Maybe 40 million? I'm trying to guess here. As with all of these things, there's one side, from our side, we're obviously going to try and pinch players a bit cheaper, but from a selling side, if Wolves were to lose him, I'm sure they would want to command a hefty fee for him. But let me know your thoughts on Pedro Neto. And again, if there's any fans of opposition clubs watching, Wolves fans, Spurs fans, whomever I go through, I don't mean this list to be disrespectful to any other club. I'm genuinely just looking at potential replacements for Sadio Mane, because I really just did not want to lose Sadio. I mean, I've said it before and I'll say it again. I would probably have inched towards keeping Sadio over Mohamed Salah. That's how much I have rated his resurgence in the second half of the season. It looks like, we've had two players. One of them looks heartbroken and crestfallen since his AFCON heartache, and of course not qualifying for the World Cup. And the other one in Sadio looks like a player reborn and absolutely full of the joys of spring, as we say. So Pedro Neto, let me know your thoughts in the comment section. Good fit or not a good fit for Liverpool? I'll leave it up to you. The next one is my favourite. Top of the list, number one, straight to the top, JARROD Bowen. I've been banging the JARROD Bowen drum along with Chris Stonage for 8-9 months now on the channel. I think this guy has all the tools. He might not be a sexy European name, but might not be somebody who immediately you look at and think, wow, what a statement signing. But he will come in and he will do an incredible job in our system. Again, versatility with JARROD Bowen. Somebody who has shown up on the big games, big occasions for West Ham this season. Scored a couple against Manchester City as well. Now going to be an England international after getting called up. But there's just something about this kid, JARROD Bowen, that just screams star to me. I love him. I really do. I really, really rate the kid. And if I could pick one player to come in, it would be JARROD Bowen from an attacking perspective, because the season he's had with West Ham's been incredible, and I think he will continue to push on and develop. Now, of course, West Ham wouldn't want to lose him. Why would they? As I've just said, he's a remarkably good footballer. But I think even West Ham may accept that everybody has a price. But the big question is, what would that price be, and would Liverpool be willing to pay it? If we cast our minds back to most of our big transfers, most of the big transfer fees that we've handed out as a club, generally they've come off the back of a big sale. Now, whilst we're going to lose Sadio, it won't be a big sale. We might get in, if we get our valuation, close to £50 million. So you're not going to get JARROD Bowen for 50 million quid. I would say if West Ham were to lose JARROD Bowen, it would probably, and again guessing here, take a fee of, I would go as far as to say upwards of 60 million even. You do have the English tax, the Premier League tax that we often speak about, but for me, I'd love him. I would. I'd love JARROD Bowen to come into the club. I think he'd be a great fit. I like his work ethic. I like the way he just handles himself on a football pitch as well. So for me, JARROD Bowen will be a massive yes. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section. And again, let me know if you agree with my valuations, because, whilst we as Liverpool fans might think 60 million would sound like a lot, from a West Ham side, they probably think he's worth more. And the power is probably with the selling club. So again, let me know your thoughts. The next player is Darwin Nunez, and I'm sure he was somebody you fully expected to see in this video. This is dare I say, a risky one because of the unknown. Darwin Nunez is has potential, lots of it. Jurgen Klopp has spoken about his admiration for the guy. We've seen firsthand from this season at Anfield and, of course, over in Portugal, how good some of these Benfica players are. And he certainly stood out at Anfield, made a big impact in that game and scored himself a nice goal as well. Sometimes falls over a little bit too much. But the big problem here for me is the huge disparity in valuations that I've seen. So, one point I remember hearing figures of about 130 million euro for Darwin Nunez. But then in other articles from the Spain and Portuguese side of things, I've seen figures of about 60 million mentioned now. The 60 million mark might be worth a punt. But I can't lie, I'm unsure on Darwin Nunez. It could be that I quite simply haven't seen enough of the kid play football, but I've had mixed results. You know, some people say that he's all style, no substance. Some people say that he's a good target man, that he's strong, that he can run the line, but that his link-up play isn't great, that his finishing needs to be worked on. But again, I would say whatever player comes into Liverpool Football Club, we have to add the proviso that he will be working with a great set of coaches, with great footballers alongside him. And I would say any player that will come in will certainly improve. So Darwin Nunez, I would say, probably will be on the list. I'd say probably a very good option. But I know my friend Mark Olbert at the United Stand spoke about somebody telling him that he believes that we're close with Nunez, or that we've certainly made our interest be known with Darwin Nunez. I can't quite say that myself because my own people haven't told me that. But again, I know Mark has very well placed people himself, or on his side as well. So yeah, I don't know. I genuinely don't know with Darwin Nunez. I had seen him linked with Manchester United. I'd seen him linked with a couple of other clubs around Europe, and I have no doubt that he will be a hot commodity this summer. But let me know what you think. I mean, at 60 million, I think I would. At 60 million pound, I think I would take a punt. But if you get to the upper ends of the valuation, I have to say I wouldn't really be on board with it. I think anything over 60, 65 is just too much for somebody who hasn't really proved himself yet. But then again, with these guys, you are a lot of the time paying for potential, aren't you? And then I suppose the last one, second last one I should say, because I forgot we added this gentleman into the list. There you go. This is the joys of me refusing to edit a video. Christopher Nkunku. Probably the most like-for-like style replacement we could bring in for Sadio Mane if he leaves. He's had an incredible season with Leipzig, but I do have to caveat all of this by saying that in an interview recently he spoke about Paris being his club, and it certainly feels like it's a bit of a come-get-me plea to PSG. But then from the Leipzig side, we've heard that they don't want to lose him this summer, that they don't want to sell him, that there isn't a number. And I'm sure he will be part of the French squad ahead of the World Cup. And if they win the World Cup, I'm sure his valuation will increase even more. So for me, Nkunku would be a no-brainer. Nkunku, Bowen, and then maybe we come down to Nunez. And I've probably tripped myself up in this video, by the way. I may have said somebody else was number 2, but I'm working on the fly here. So for me, Christopher Nkunku would be a great addition. You could play him anywhere across the front three. And again, very, very similar attributes to Sadio Mane. So yeah, I'd happily have Nkunku, but I do feel that he will probably move elsewhere. I don't think we'll get him through the doors at Liverpool as much as I'd like it. So price wise, God, I wouldn't know. I honestly wouldn't know what to start with from Nkunku, but I would imagine you're talking certainly upwards of again, probably 50, 60 million quid. So let me know your thoughts on Christopher Nkunku in the comment section. And also, I don't think I've asked you this yet, let me know your thoughts on the club losing Sadio, because it's a hammer blow as far as I'm concerned. I think he's been very underappreciated for a long time, and it will be a shame when he moves on. But I'm glad to read that almost every Liverpool fan, to a man, woman and child that I've seen comment on the situation, has said that it sucks that Sadio move on, but ultimately he will go with our best wishes and a huge thank you for an incredible 6 years at Liverpool Football Club. I suppose then the second last one, see how many second last ones I have. I'm doing really well here, forgetting half the players that we have on the list, don't I? As I click the next button thinking we're going to get to the final one. Saka is a bit of a wild card, by the way. So I said to you earlier on that we had looked at Son if we weren't going to, or if they weren't in the Champions League. I wonder if the reverse is going to be true of Saka. I wonder, was he maybe not somebody that we'd actually thought of making a move for, but now that Arsenal have, to use a phrase, shit the bed, and found themselves in the Europa League next year, if my memory is right, I believe young Saka has 2 years left on his contract at the Emirates. And I know we certainly looked at him before he signed that thing beforehand, and I know a lot of people think he's overhyped. I don't. I think there's an incredibly good footballer in there. I just don't know how realistic this one would be. If he had 1 year left on his contract, perhaps, but with 2 years still to go, I would say Arsenal, Mikel Arteta would be in the box seat there to hold on to one of their prized assets, and I don't blame them. He is a good footballer. I've got no idea what his price point would be, but again, I would be surprised if you get any change from 50 or 60 million quid. That seems to be minimum these days for English talent. So let me know what you think about Saka. Do you think he will be a good fit? Do you think he's realistic? And again, if you're an Arsenal fan watching this, I'm not trying to destabilise your club. I'm just talking about players that I actually rate and think could do a job. And now the actual last one. We've had about 20-second last ones, but this is the actual last one. Wildcard. Anybody I've forgotten about? Anybody that you guys would like to see me maybe look into or discuss on the stream? Let me know in the comment section. Ultimately, though, this is a video I never wanted to make because I never wanted to be in a position where Sadio was going to leave. I love Sadio. And, you know, even now, when I know he's moving on, part of me just hopes for a change of heart, even though it isn't going to happen. But look, my friends, again, thank you for your time. Let me know in the comment section what you think. And yeah, I will talk to you guys soon. Take care. Up the Reds.